We are now looking at a poem by Emily Dickinson. It's number 761 out of the 1700. It was written in about 1863. It was not really published until the 20th century. And it's a really hard poem. And so I'm going to read it, and I'm going to ask Jeremy, Irene, and Magdalena to start with anything you have to say about this really difficult Dickinson poem. And I'll also say to those who are intrepid about calling, 610-616-3208, we want you to call and talk to us about this poem by Emily Dickinson, 610-616-3208, and post to the forums and to Twitter. Here it is. Are we ready? Okay. From blank to blank, a threadless way, I pushed mechanic feet to stop or perish or advance, alike indifferent. If end I gained, it ends beyond indefinite disclosed. I shut my eyes and groped as well. 'Twas lighter to be blind. Holy cow.
On God's green earth.
Okay, so everybody, I see everybody shaking their heads. Emily Dickinson, wow. She just keeps doing it. All right. Jeremy, Irene, and Magdalena. Jeremy, first, say anything to get us started. Jeremy, what's this poem about?
A journey, a trek. I'm kind of thinking of lost in the snow, in the Arctic, trudging.
Are you saying that an Emily Dickinson poem is actually about walking around?
Perhaps. It's about, to me, it seems like a kind of journey, the blank to blank, footsteps, the threadless way.
Yeah, that means
That kind of
a threadless way means a way without a path, a way without a trail.
Yeah, well, it's the labyrinth, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get out of the labyrinth by following the thread, and if there's
Yes.
a thread, you're lost.
That's right.
So,
And mechanic feet would be either, I'm really so tired, I'm just putting one foot in front of the other, right? Or
Yeah.
I'm not really paying attention to the walking. Or metapoem, or
yes,
Or-
the actual feet of the poem.
yeah,
itself,
yeah.
which,
From blank to blank, a threadless way, I pushed mechanic feet. Da 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 da. Isn't the pushing of mechanic feet possibly a reference to the poem itself, at least the way it begins metrically?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
you know, Al picked this poem, so it's going to be a meta poem. All right, this is
Yeah.
a great start. Irene,
Al,
you're on.
We have someone on the phone too, just so you know.
Irene, hold that thought for 1 second. We're going to take someone from the phone. Who's on the phone, Chris Martin?
Al, we have John Knight calling in.
John Knight. He returns.
Yay.
Hi, John. How are you? Yeah, you're a little quiet.
I'm fine.
Good. What do you think of this Dickinson poem?
I love it.
It's really great.
It seems to me to have holding two thoughts at the same time.
Yep.
She's at once depressed and at the same time transcending.
Let's talk about the depressed part first. What's your evidence for that?
Well, just blank to blank, just boredom. I'm walking mechanically. I'm just taking the steps that I have to
Yeah.
take. It doesn't matter whether I stop or I perish or I dance.
Yes.
It's all indifferent.
Yes.
I don't have any value there. I'm just
Right.
doing.
Right. Or to put it another way, I'm not getting anywhere.
Right.
Right. And then?
But on the other hand, I understand that wherever I get it, it doesn't matter. And if I shut my eyes, I can do as well.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the idea of being, it doesn't matter whether I'm seeing or I'm blind. It might even be better if I'm blind because then I won't have an expectation.
Yes. John, that's
good.
so good. Yes. So this is a classic Dickinson moment. She's saying, like, if I were living in a world where I had goals and outcomes and paths and trails and places to go to and traditional ambitions, then that's a kind of depressing thing. I would just kind of trudge through life. However, I have the imagination, and so I actually don't want to get to an end. That's the bad thing. So I'm going to be more than okay not having an end to get to.
Can I push it even further than that?
Yes.
I mean, metrically speaking, right? Isn't to just go from your argument about metrical feet or mechanical feet, as she says, it's better for me to work outside of those constraints.
Yeah.
My poem can do more working to break out of the metrical patterns that are sort of established.
Right. Irene, we're going to turn to you now. John, do you want to stay on the line for a minute? That was great. Maybe we'll give you another. Okay, great. Okay, so Irene, we get the image of the poet deciding, I don't want to do the traditional thing. I really want to try something that I know nothing about, where I'm blind. I don't even know where I am. Like, let's say I'm a Spanish language poet and I decide to move to Paris. Like, that is a counterintuitive thing. And you're lost. You think, like, where am I? What is the poet to do? Did I decide to, in a sense, to try exile as a way of returning to my language? Sorry to load that up with a personal interpretation, but the point is, the poet needs to not know where she's going in order to be, like, doing the thing. What do you think of all this?
Yeah, I totally agree about. And I was thinking also about this Dickinsonian idea about possibility, and it's like, yeah, what she's suggesting with all of this, even with the words and the ambiguity of the poem, is all this possibility that can open in a world where there are no rules or no metric or where anything is defined. So you can explore.
Yeah.
So I would talk about possibility.
So I would like to ask Magdalena and Kelly to explain the phrase indefinite disclosed. Indefinite disclosed. Magdalena, do you want to try that?
Disclosed, also something which is like opened or something which
Right, disclosed means revealed.
It's something beyond manageable even.
Right.
So by putting those two words together, in some way not comprehensible, but
Yes.
again it opens to the amazing abilities of our mind or imagination.
Yes, very well said. Kelly, in the world of Kelly Writer's House, in the world of the kind of poetry we admire around here, in the world of ModPo, indefinite is a positive thing. And in a funny way, definite is not a positive thing. So what's so great about indefinite? And moreover, once you say what's so great about indefinite, then the question is what's so great about disclosing the indefinite, which seems like a paradox.
Yeah, I think what's so great about the indefinite is that it's because you're not making this one specific decision. It's an open possibility, like an open field of possibility. And so you could have many, many different like options there, and you're not set to one thing.
Yeah.
And then the disclosed part, for me, I can't help but connect the disclosure to the blank to blank, because when I read that first line, it's almost like a word was substituted by the blank, like fill in this blank that wasn't there before. So in disclosure, there might be, like, in making a certain choice, there's another thing to be gained there, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you made me think about the way a mechanical poet, someone who is committed to a meter before the content, does a poem. Shelley used to do this, actually. They would write from blank to blank to blank to blank to blank and blank. They would just put the word blank in to stand in for a monosyllable.
Right.
It becomes a cipher. And she seems to be deliberately doing that. But to disclose indefiniteness is actually to turn blank around from being an empty, crappy cipher into being the most important thing. Blindness, groping, indefiniteness, blankness. That's her ideal state. turns out. Mandana, your thought on this, and then we will wrap up with a few other readings here, and maybe Claire can quote. Terry Reef has a little. So we'll work through that. Mandana, your thought?
Sure. Any specific thought or?
No,
or
generally. I mean, you've read a lot of Dickinson by now.
I
and
love this.
This is a good one, isn't it?
For one thing, there's so many dualities in this that it keeps your interest in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I especially love that line, "a threadless way." This idea of being in the labyrinth and not having a way to get back, and yet she always does get back to an ending that works. Also, with that last line, I had a feeling about telling it slant, that not seeing something directly is the best pathway to actually be able to see something at all.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there's the relationship between, I mean, given what John Knight said earlier, there's a relationship, and also Jeremy, who started us off talking about wandering around, relationship between this kind of wandering and the discovery that John Ashbery makes in Just Walking Around, which is that the best thing to do is not to plan a trip, but just to walk around and discover that life, that poetry is really about not going somewhere definite, but doing the going. Okay, I want to turn to John Knight. I wanted to turn back to you. Any thoughts further on this discussion?
Yes, sure. First off, for me, indefinite disclosed means comfortable with ambiguity.
Right.
And what's lighter to be blind is that before she understood that, it was simple. Life was simpler. So to me, the idea is the whole poem is she's holding two states of mind at the same time. Right. And now that she understands that she's holding two states of mind at the same time, and she's accepting ambiguity, that's what the whole poem's about.
John, you're really good at this. You really, really are. Don't ever leave us, please. I also think, John, that this is a voluntary disability. She shuts her eyes. That's a very weird phrase to use, and I didn't quite mean it that way. But I think that Emily Dickinson is saying, if I want to try on not knowing where I'm going, right, I will shut my eyes and grope. So you get, if this were like a little cartoon, it would be Dickinson trudging through a kind of standard poetry and then deciding to get lost, right, and to shut her eyes and grope around, right, and then experience the paradox that John describes of having two thoughts, like this gets lighter. To close your eyes and grope means I see better, right? I mean, this is so a devotion, this poem, isn't it? We got to bring this up to Frost Valley this summer.
It's going by feel, right? As opposed to by slotting in by blank to blank.
Going by feel, exactly. Very well put. John, thank you for calling. Really great to hear your voice. Thank you. Claire, what do we have in the feed? And then we'll wrap up this poem.
Well, Terry Rife said something interesting. It's interesting to look at Emily Dickinson's original manuscript for this poem on the Emily Dickinson archive. She makes notes of these two alternatives, rather than course, or using course instead of way.
Okay, so it would be a threadless course.
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And using reached instead of gained.
Jeremy's got it too.
There it is.
There it is. Wow.
Wait, Jeremy, make some noise so that the video comes to you.
Hello, there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so Claire just, by way of Terry, just told us that we've got, what is it? The second
course
substitution?
rather than way.
Yeah, you can see
and
it
way,
crossed
a
out.
threadless course, yes, go
and
ahead.
reached rather than gained. So
Where's
if
where's
and I
gained?
reached.
I'm not seeing
If
gained.
and I gained. So if and I reached.
And I reached. Okay, now that sets up the groping
Yeah.
pretty well, although it's subtle of her to end up with gained. Thank you, Terry. Anything else?
Also from Terry, the lighter at the end could be used rather than more illuminated and lighter like that. Also less burdensome, so like a lighter load.
Yes.
So the
really
duality
great.
of that.
Really good.
And then there was another one that I wanted
Alana
to
said
say.
something about indefinite disclosed
Yes.
on Twitter.
Yeah.
What isn't concrete takes form when disclosed.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So Alana's totally right. This is similar to what happens in the Anne Spencer poem. There's I'm sorry, in the Aigner poem when he says a river over something rather than something very specific, right? So the greater the specificity in a way, the less that gets disclosed. It's paradoxical. Very nice. Good. Okay, Anna, final thought on Emily Dickinson?
If end I gained, it ends beyond indefinite disclosed.
Pretty
is like
amazing writing.
That's an all-time Emily Dickinson flex.
Yes.
That's.
Can you paraphrase? If end I gained, it ends beyond.
I think to me that means. I mean, we're talking about this idea of you can't plan your life, you can't plan your poem. You have to just let the poem kind of take you where it's going to go.
So end means objective, ambition, career goal.
Yeah.
If I had a career goal, go ahead.
Well, how often do you like get to a goal and like realize you want more?
It ends beyond, meaning it beckons forward.
Right.
I want to continue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's really quite a writer. All right. Well, let's give ourselves snaps for doing a great job on this Dickinson poem.